Have I got sound on the... Am I on the live stream? Jake? One, two, three, four, five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hello, hello. So, thank you for your patience. That was a lot longer time for us than it was for you. Yeah. You're having a better time than I am currently, but I will catch up, I promise. So if you're interested, we have two separate means of live streaming this. One is designed for you to interact with our remote satellite labs, and the other one is designed for presentations either from the stage or from somebody on Zoom via the screen. And what we've had to do is, rather than switch between them for the different contexts, we've had to use one context for both currently, so until we sort out this noise problem. But my theory is, and Jake will either confirm or deny this, that embedded now in the main live stream page, there's a thumbs up, is me talking to you. And in the background, if I expand the picture, you also see, well, currently a blue screen, but very shortly something that is not a blue screen. For instance, oh, we found another problem. This is But it's so much better to have these issues on the first day rather than when you're showcasing your finished products. Anyway, for those who don't know me, hi, I'm Andrew Dubber. I'm director of MTF Labs, and because I haven't actually got up on stage and said anything really yet, so I should introduce myself. That's who I am, that's what I'm here for. I'm being mostly tech guy at this particular stage of this particular event, with varying degrees of success, apparently. So we will endeavour to continue to try and fix this. You continue to be your brilliant selves and collaborate and meet people and talk to each other, but I am on screen right now. Here we go. And now we have a live stream with images in it. Just to test, can you please switch to the sort of holding pattern with the bag? So that's good. So that means that now somebody, and I'm thinking particularly Robertina here, would be able to come up and present and be seen on the screen and be able to live stream, not in the way that we originally intended, but still correctly. So you'll be heard and you'll be seen and your slides will be seen. So a round of applause for Robertina. I do need to plug. Oh yeah, for sure. What I need is sound. Yes, but not be there. Microphone, not
I wanted it speaking up from here.
from the phone, yes. That's an option.
I might have to use the DI instead of the, because this is too noisy.
Yep, sure.
I have another one also with me if you want to try my one.
Huh?
I have one more thingy.
No, it's not that.
Okay,
I don't think it is.
you can touch. All the outputs. Pages.
Correct.
So we're almost there.
We are almost there. But, correct.
We are live streaming what we are talking.
We are almost there. I'm going to move this so you can be at the...
No, but I can also come like this and just like this now because we are solving this. Or you tell me, you know.
I want to see the screen and you. Sounds good.
You tell me, you know.
I want to see the screen and you. That's perfect. Yep, good.
Do you have to use this mic also or no?
To come up speakers here for people, yeah.
Here? Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Should we try it one more time?
Me too.
I have to, oh my god. Yes, of course.
Is there anything I can do to be helpful?
No, I think we sort this out.
Okay, cool.
What time is the next break?
I think there's a couple of presentations and then a break, and then a couple more presentations and then a break. So we get like a coffee break which is an hour and a dinner which is an hour. No. Yes.
I'm not getting anything.
There it is.
We've got audio. I'm not getting anything from any video. On the laptop.
But
It's from here.
No video.
What do you mean with video?
there's no video coming out.
Aha, okay, video. I was like, which kind of video?
Can I quickly...
Yes?
Sorry, can I quickly change something on the visuals?
Of course.
Right.
Should be extended or because I just put it on the mirror now?
No, that's perfect. I just
Arrangement?
need that.
Ah, okay.
I think that will fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Dad, we got laptop visuals there? Yep. Well, thank you so much.
Very good.
There's no visuals.
Again not?
Ah, Jake, is this a thing about 1080 settings?
Shall we go again? Aha, it went back to the former version. Why?
No idea.
Okay.
There's the eye, and then just, that's fine.
Be fine.
Confirm.
Confirm. There we go.
That's it.
Because it decided instead of us, you know.
Bruno.
Okay, that's fine.
Bruno, you should have audio from me, and you should be reading that on the Zoom as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, probably is. No. Yes. And this time with the ability to listen on headphones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bruno, can you hear me? Hello, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is me presenting. I'm hanging on. Everyone's hanging on. It's lucky everyone in this room is so interesting, otherwise everybody would be struggling with this right now. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're not hearing me at all. There is no reason for that. If you're sending to it, you should be hearing from it.
You should be hearing me through that. Nothing. That. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nothing. Cool. How about now? Anything? Should you hear me there? Nothing. Nothing. Yeah? Hey, there we go.
If I can just get you to calm down with the slow clap and the stamping of feet for a second. We are now ready to proceed. I would like to welcome Robertina Shebjanic to the stage. Welcome, Robertina. I'm sorry for the delay, but everything works.
That's good.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Robertina.
And also applause for the technical team that it's working now.
Thank you. You have to talk into the microphone.
I will do my best with that. Hello? So I will do my best to talk into the mic. I try to avoid mics most of the time, so just remind me when I'm like too much away or something. So it's good. So I'm happy to be here also in person. Last year I was like most of the time online. So it was a bit different experience. It's funny to see the room, which I saw from my screen in my living room at that time. So it's nice to see, meet you, and so on. Of course, thank you to Andrew, to Michaela, to invite, and to always introduce with the right people and with interesting people, as Sofia Felicon, and I'm pretty sure there will be many more coming. Myself, I work as an artist researcher. Field of research started to happen just because the topic which I was intrigued and interested in was actually the species which also Sofia and Feli spoke a lot, Irish jellyfishes. So, but before I start to speak about that, the situation with the oceans and seas is mostly this what I have behind me, you know. There is like over floating of the boats and the boat traffic, and this is what is happening on the surface, and what's happening under the surface then. In the result of that, it can be hurt very strongly. So in my today's talk, I will also present one of my projects, which is dealing with this kind of underwater noise pollutions and what is happening on that. So the species which kind of was my entry into the more marine or aquatic environments and aquatic lives is jellyfish, Aurelia aurita, or moon jellyfish, which is one of the model organisms in biology. And in the 2012, when I was for the first time in marine station for residency in Izmir in Turkey, there was just like thousands and thousands of them in the bay in the February, which was not a typical month. Neither was this the time that they should appear in these kind of big numbers. So I started to look into it and started to be intrigued and interested with the species from all these different points of views. And in the work, it resulted then in two variations. It was done in 2014, and this was also the work which Michaela referred to. So in 2014, this was developed as two different variations. I will show short clips from each of it. So I really wanted to speak also and think about the species beyond human to avoid our human impact and imprint into them somehow. It's hard because I'm human, I speak about them, I build the environment for them. But still, I really wanted to have a space where the jellyfish and the soft robotic sculpture, there will be just interaction between them. Conceptually, what I wanted to achieve was actually to talk about the What I wanted to achieve was to talk about this, you know, like how far can we reach and what happens after that. And then the second part of the project, I was thinking that it would be interesting also to develop more as a interactive in sense of like me and jellyfish interacting with each other. So there was in the concert hall. So in the concert hall, the jellyfish are present in the space. I'm present there. Half of the sound is navigated by them. We developed together with Slavko Glomočan, an excellent programmer, the code, how, depending how they move, what they do, and how they navigate, they're changing the soundscape from half of the thingy, and the other half was done by me. And then on the end of the performance, I kind of disappear from the stage. So this also speaks about this, you know, like, yes, we can be together, but, you know, through the knowledge what we have known about them, about their 500 million years of development, and our really much shorter time, I'm pretty sure they will be surviving and staying in this environment longer. So, and then when working with the jellyfishes and developing the frames of the project and so on, it can go also much longer and deeper, but as I said, I will jump through the projects, and if somebody wants to have more in-depth conversation about how to even bring this animal into the laboratories and what this means to bring them into the galleries and so on, there's lots of debate opening up with this project always. And I'm happy to talk with them also later on or with questions and answers. But when I was doing lots of field trips and doing my stay in marine stations in different points around the globe, I started to be doing also lots of field recording with hydrophone. I brought it also with me. I'm happy to share my equipment, so whoever wants to go to record whatever, I'm happy to show how it's used. It's very easy. And it's welcome, and it's very interesting because it's just another world which we don't hear otherwise. Because, you know, when we go, I think some of you have experience of diving, but, you know, this is more like dark radar sound environment. You don't hear actually what is around you because you hear yourself breathing in your bubbles. And when I started to record with this kind of hydrophones and so on, I started to be curious because, you know, like naively how I approached the topic was like, I will listen to the bioacoustics and it will be amazing. And it is amazing, but the problem is just that most of the bioacoustics which we hear is then very quickly overrun by the noise. You know, similar like we had like technical problems here with these noisy situations, and yeah, we cannot speak over that because it's mostly very irritating for us. It's in the oceans, the seas, even harder to navigate. So the sound which we listen now is actually a recording of shrimps, which we managed to record them in Bergen in one little bay in fjords. But then very quickly, like in my compositions, I like to compose with the sounds which I get, but I put them into different layers. So it's not only the real feel of the space, but it's kind of like my imprint of specific time which I spent there. And you know, very quickly you hear also all these deep sounds. You know, it's like the aquatic, because of physicality by itself, the sounds already vibrate and we can hear them differently. The very annoying thing is that they're mostly what we hear when we are inside of the ocean, and you know, when we put the hydrophones in, it's mostly boats, vessels, ships, seismic research, different stuff, you know. And I like to say that, you know, like us humans, we are very visual animals, you know, like visual seeing is one of our main sensors, but in the oceans and seas, this changes very quickly, you know. By 200 meters already the twilight starts to happen, and you know, so then the species which they live there, they're actually navigating, of course, with all different sensory perceptions as hearing, pressure, because, you know, sound and the pressure are very connected. And because most of the oceans and seas actually quite deep, there is, you know, of course there is lots of coastal areas next to the places where we live, but there is also lots of deepness where the visual imperative is not so important anymore. So just as a quick intro into the topic, which I think it will be also interesting to discuss further on, and also Feli and Sophia opened up, is like this, you know, that also the frequency, the ranges which they're happening and so on, they could be really quickly solved and changed. I like to say that noise pollution is one of these stupid pollutions, because it's just like that, you know, if the boats are just going slower with the machinery, because, you know, by the propellers you have lots of implosions of the little bubbles, which they're doing lots of noise also. And if we just change more into electric motors, different way of using of the machinery, it will already solve it. Because there is lots of pollutions, which I will talk also later on the project which I collaborated with Gino Šutić, which is not so easy to solve. But this one, I think it is. Like so, also because of physics of the water, who I mentioned before, the sound travels 5 to 7 times longer and deeper in the oceans and seas than in the air. We can experience then when it's foggy. In the fog, the sounds, especially the high pitches and so on, they can really reach out really far. And I will not go into details of decibels now in this moment, but we can talk about this also very happily also later and debate about that, because it's always interesting how to see how these parameters, of ecological kind of instability and changes are can quickly change just because of our interaction with the oceans and seas. Like if the sea starts to be, the pH is changing. In the higher pH goes, more uncomfortably metallic sounds can start to happen. It loses the deepness and it goes really high pitches again. So there is different problematics which are happening with our presentations. So when I do my presentations in different places, I like as an artist also to share the stage with scientists which they are really deeply involved into the topics which they develop. So many times I invite different scientists to speak publicly about the topics then. So instead of just me presenting some situations, I like to share these kind of stages because, I'm working in the field of art, science, technology. I think it's very important to also share the space, not just like refer to each other, not just like, yes, it's great to have inspiration from each other, but I think that we should also go beyond that, So I was really glad also that I was able to do even in this kind of lockdown timings, exhibition in, this was in Ostend in Belgium, where the Blue One organization decided to collaborate also together with media industry, because when we speak about industry, what we think, art science, technology, mostly it's like, yeah, let's innovate, let's develop something new and so on. But how to innovate and think about media is very important, I think, also. So what they decided, they invited 4 artists, so it was like 4 different articles. I was just part of it, So this means they are triggered by you, but then they go deeper into debate about what is happening with this problematic in their shores. Also, just recently happened this that 2 scientists contacted me if they can use my topic of aquatocene as their kind of framework, which I think is always rewarding because mostly I write to the scientists about that. So it's sometimes nice to get emails back in this way. So with Gino, who will also come to talk after me, we started to work together on different, we know each other for some while. We are both based at Adriatic Sea. This is the sea which is part of Mediterranean. It's between Italy, Croatia, Slovenia, Albania, and a bit of Greece. Yes, a bit. And with Gino, we always had this kind of passion to rethink what ecology means. And with the project which we both have been at the residence at Ars Electronica in 2018, we kind of proposed to talk and think about what happens with pharmaceuticals, pharmaceuticals as human bodies and oceans and seas, because, lots of research about interspecies communication can go also into that, that through our urine or through different chemical inputs into each other, we can also communicate somehow. We understand what is happening, we give each other impulses, and as pharmaceutical industry is quite, like our bodies consume circa 20% of the pills which we intake. 80%, okay, this percentage can vary a bit, but mostly it's like this, that almost 80% goes out into the dark waters, ocean seas, and so on the end of the day, we're getting this, what we are giving back in our plates, and the circle continues. But the irritating thing is that we are also chemically really changing lots of situations around. Would you like to add something in this moment, or you will talk later? Okay, so Gino will give you also a bit of different perspective than on the research, because I think it was interesting to work with him. We have been doing lots of citizen science research. We have been trying to figure it out how to present this topic also to wider public, with presentations, with scientific papers, and with art installation. So it was quite ambitious, like we'd like to be, but I think it's also good because then we could have also a bit more bigger impact, you know. One of the things which I have to say struck me a lot when we have been doing the research, it was also in vitro experiments. And here there are two videos of two microorganisms, because you know the results of your research, because their life cycle is much faster than our human or other species. And plus it was also, but then when we have been working with them and we have been exposing them to different quantities of pharmaceuticals. For the drugs, we just decided, you know, it was 5 people in the lab working. We just said, okay, we all empty our buckets, put it on the table, and just use this for our research. Because we try not to be judgmental with Gene Initiative of this project, because we are all, you know, the society is hooked on the pharmacy is like one of the booming industries anyway. But you know, it's good to be aware of what can be the results and how direct this goes not only to microorganisms, but what does it mean this in bigger organisms, you know, because also there is lots of this research happening when they are testing waters in different cities, and then they are announcing how much coke is inside of that, because it's interesting to see how society needs constantly boosters that we can interact with each other, which can be sometimes quite shocking. The project is also, as I mentioned, shown as an art installation, and for that we decided to have very simple hologramic sculptures where you can just see this loop of disintegration of these little creatures in these black models. In 2019, I had been lucky to be able to join also research at the Celtic Explorer. It's like one of the biggest boats for the research in the Ireland, and it was about the Irish coast, because the project was run through Galway 2020, the European capital. And it was great because through that we got like good funding that we could manage to develop the projects. There was like artists, 5 of us, on different stages in different boats. And experience, especially for me, being obsessed with aquatic environments in different levels, I would say. It was also a very great experience to be also with scientists together there, because then we kind of also see how something is navigated, what is done there, what is the procedure. It's not always only fun, because there have been also 3-meter waves, so it wasn't so much fun at first. I was a bit like, not so enthusiastic after first day. I was thinking like, why? But then, you know, then you start to get used to it, and it was really great. So it's like 24-hour operation constant. For me, it was really interesting to get to know these 2 new species. For me, not for, they're very known otherwise. So the basking shark is second biggest shark. It's a plankton-eating organism, which is just like filtrating and going and just like floating around. And next to it is like a really tiny shark. They're actually 0.5 millimeter big, and also filtrating the waters of the Irish shores, but for me it was interesting how the cultural impact they have, because the little tiny shells, they're actually the ones which they are building the coral reefs around it, they are like, because of their sticky, they're able to produce some sticky kind of gluey substance, which helps to hold the reef together. And the finding of them, it was like really great, like everybody was super excited on the boat. It was like the celebration day. And the basking shark is just like, it was, even though it is migratory species, it's not just like around Ireland, but in Ireland it's kind of a cultural it has very strong cultural imprint in the sense of like, in the 19th century they've been using lots of their livers also for the lightening of their houses and so on. There's still lots of folk stories about it. There's so many different initiatives to check on them. So it's kind of there, like as panda in China, it's basking shark in Ireland. And I would just play a bit of this because I decided to work a bit differently with this project. So it's a 42 minutes long kind of radio show. And with the work, I decided to go first time to work with the human voice also. One of the reasons was sadly the 2020 drama with all changes which have been happening. So I was working online with singers from Ireland. The singing in Seanonos, this is like a specific way of singing through the throat. And for me it was good because, I am a musician. I will have a bit of, I know how to read notes, but I'm not a composer in the sense that I could write with the notes the composition, but I managed to do it with the visual score, which for them was also very understandable because this is also the way how they worked. So it was really interesting to collaborate with each other and work through that. And for the finale of my today's presentation, I will just quickly refer to the work which I was really glad that I had the opportunity to collaborate with Sophia and with Pelican. And so we spent quite some nice time together at Adriatic Sea in the Northern Adriatic in Slovenia, where I'm coming from, in Koper. And we have been, I think Sophia was our human drone, we called her, because she was constantly diving, recording with the underwater cameras and so on. We had also a drone which was giving us problems, so we decided that Sophia is much more efficient in that job. But it was just like, we really wanted to, we came together, we started the conversation with the jellies, obvious. But then we just wanted to also experience the region and refer to it. And in these topics, one of them is definitely Posidonica oceanica. It's like a seagrass, and in area of the Northern Adriatic, there is like the biggest and the most Nordic seagrass meadows. And these meadows are very important. We sometimes forget, but more than 50% of oxygen that we breathe. We are getting from the oceans. And these underwater meadows and forests of kelp and so on are quite important ecosystemic situations. The other thing was, the The flame shells and the fam shells, the Pinot nobilis, they're like so big, and they could be also 120 centimeters big in the before the extinction started to happen, because it's like this that just unplug this. So it's like this that sadly there is not many of them standing anymore. You know, mostly what we experienced also from the first hand when we went to record is that, you know, that most of them they're just lying on the floor. So they're dying out because there is like some parasitic bacteria which came with the ballast waters, with the boats and so on, also into the Adriatic Sea, which was for the long time one of the last rescues from them. So sadly they're dying out, but the thing is, you know, that there's always this interconnection between the different species and why they are together in this specific space. So if they're dying out, this means because they're these kind of huge filters for the water. So there's also, of course, impacting other little creatures and also bigger around. Instead of the project, on the visual impact, the scoring system, we collaborated with EU Copernicus database to get for the first part of the project, now the 30 years of changes in Adriatic Sea, and we plan to work also further to get into the other situations. I think that during the research we became all very enthusiastic when Sophia came with the story about the sea silk. It's something that I was really surprised with it, never heard about this before, but then also we started to, one of the points of the project is that we try to work as much as sustainable as possible, which it sounds very good when you think about it, but it can be very complicated and expensive when you go into the production of the artwork, because it's always easier to do the old way than the new way, I would say. And especially when we are working with biomaterials and so on, many times there is more fail than, and the fail is actually the good result, you know. So this is something which we are still feel challenged, but we plan to develop this further. So also the textile which we use to talk about instead of the installation is also seagrass, which you found also, Sophia, online and connected with the organization which is doing this in UK. And, you know, so there is lots of possibilities for conversations outside of the project, in the sense of, like, you know, if you go to the slide before, you know, when I was talking about the trafficking in the oceans and seas, you know, already, you know, like the textile industry, which is constantly bringing everything around microfibers and so on. So there is just like topics coming that we plan to work further on it. So this is now from my side. I hope it was quite not too long. And yeah, as I mentioned before, I'm happy to have this kind of discussions further, because I think it's really good, and I'm really excited that this is like just ocean topic. I wanted to show something before we finish. Sorry. But just today, in the morning, I got this video from a friend who is just known the research vessel Falcon. It's like Smithsonian Oceanics. They have the residency program also. I didn't know that she's there, but she sent me this because she was like, oh, I saw the jellyfish, it's 650 meters deep sea, so it's like thinking on you. And I asked her, so she will send us some greetings from the boat, but I also posted her experience, and it's Ale de la Puente, so I'm like, I posted also her experience into our Discord chat, so we can all connect with that. So it's also, I think, good to have somebody at the ocean every day speak up about the ocean. So thank you. Хочеш ти са тога, хочеш да. Okay. Hoćeš to ili nećeš imati? He will not have sound?
I just have presentation with HTML.
Okay, presentation with no sound.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you. Okay, I want to break something.
no, you shouldn't.
Okay.
And you can see yourself here.
Not yet. Okay. Can I start? Or just tell me when.
Up there, okay. I think so. Yes, I don't think it's a camera. Could you be shorter or should I put the mic up?
I can't be shorter, unfortunately. I just put it up. Okay, super, thanks.
No problem. Should we do? Nope.
Super.
Oh.
Underwater something. Okay, super. Okay. Okay, can I start or? Just tell me when.
Oh.
Okay.
You look fantastic.
Okay, cool.
Remember to talk into the mic,
Yeah, I will.
Thank you very much.
Super. Okay.
and it's all yours. And this is what you look like.
Hey. Okay. Thank you all for being here. I know you are all tired because you have been sitting for a longer period of time, so I'm going to try to be short and interesting, hopefully. So I'm Gino Šutić, coming from Dubrovnik, Croatia, where I base most of my business. I'm in between two cities, Dubrovnik and Zagreb. By profession, I'm like everything and nothing. Biotechnologist, biohacker, new media artist, educator, and innovator. I'm head of 3 different organizations. One would be Universal Research Institute, which is NGO for research, mostly in applied science, focusing in biotechnology, experimental electronics, and related art and culture. Geno Industry would be for-profit startup for development of innovations. And I recently also took over heading Association of Innovators of Dubrovnik-Neretva County, where we try to incubate innovation developments in Croatia. So I'm on like email, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever. So if you want to catch up and connect, I'm here. My story comes from science. It was a bit boring for me because it wasn't so advanced and we didn't have so much equipment back then in schools in Croatia, Yugoslavia then Croatia. And the same story was like in high school and when I was studying biotechnology at the university. So in theory, it was amazing, but practically it was not so. And I had problems with that because learning-wise, I'm practical type. I need to experiment with my hands, try out stuff and put them in like real-world application to be able to comprehend. And we haven't been able to do so in a school system. So I had to learn by myself. So I'm mostly self-taught. I gained knowledge from different encyclopedia. Here you can see like pictures of all the encyclopedias from Yugoslavia, world around us, which describes like everything in this mechanistic way, how everything works, what it is made of, and that was like totally amazing for me. Oh yeah. Okay, sorry. So yeah, and this is the book. So yeah, I started setting up my own labs back then, and that is something I do even now. I thought I was alone, geeks are always a minority, but when I'm similar to this, in Youth Center Zagreb, where around one of the first Arduino workshops in Croatia. So like I had Arduino at home, didn't know what to do with it. There was not still so much support, it was like the beginnings. And then I saw like amazing workshop in Zagreb, I joined, I met like a gang of designers, artists, environmentalists, like students from all different backgrounds. And we decided to open NGO, which was back then called MTF Lab. Now it's Radiona Makerspace. Is the first makerspace in Croatia where people like us meet, exchange knowledge, learn and experiment and develop innovations. My particular interest was in like a more specific niche of maker movement, which would be biohacking or do-it-yourself biology, biological engineering, biotechnology. Biotechnology is use of living organisms, their cells or parts, molecules, to produce something useful. Mostly is used in industry, but I also use it in art, in the field of biological art. This is like how it looks like when you go do it yourself. It's from old news media article describing how to make your own lab in garage, basement, kitchen, whatever. You can do molecular biology. Like globe-wise, biohacking movement, it's a big collective, but locally we are always small. So until I connected with this like global scene, I didn't know there was anyone else doing something like that. We come from different backgrounds. Some of us are focused on art. Some do more genetic engineering. Some play with cells and tissues. But what we have in common is learning through practice, experiment, and sharing this knowledge, believing that it should be open sourced and available to everybody. This is mostly what the outcomes are. We make do-it-yourself tools and share the blueprints with everybody. For example, this is what my colleagues long time ago made in Bacteria, do-it-yourself microscope made from a webcam. So you can make it cheaply at home to experiment with biology. There is like cool collectives online. This is like Biotweaking at Zagreb is the old collective I used to run before I opened NGO. And two existing ones are Do-It-Yourself Bio, which is mostly focused on molecular biology and genetic engineering, and Bacteria, which is open to biological arts, cells, tissues, and making do-it-yourself equipment. We do like, the whole collective does lots of education, so do I, like we travel everywhere, sharing the knowledge we have. And this is one of the first workshops I did in Zagreb. When I joined this Radiona Makerspace, everybody wanted to learn more about biohacking, and I started to do workshops. So these are one of the first ones, like for example, how to extract DNA from strawberries using a bit of vodka, how to cultivate bacteria, yeasts, shrooms, do-it-yourself methodologies, how to make sterile lab in unsterile environment, how to cultivate fluorescent bacteria from squids so they can be used as paint in art. So these are just the examples. Then like from single day workshops, I started to make like more intense educational programs, such as this one at the bottom. This would be maybe the first biohacking academy in the world. It was done in 2014, beginning with high school kids in Split, Croatia. I spent, me and my colleague Antonija Šakić spent like 10 days there teaching these kids like how to make your own biotechnology lab at home from scratch, how to get reagents from grocery stores, and what to do with this knowledge. For example, we did like, we used Arduinos and light bulbs to make incubator for cultivating bacteria. We taught them how to isolate different useful microorganisms from the environment, how to make batteries from mud, and so on. Blah, blah, blah. I do like, focus of everything is on experimental practices. So we played like with do-it-yourself graphene, how to make graphene from old pens, a little bit of acid. It gets like really heat up, so you can burn things with this, so be careful if you are doing it. Also, I experimented with cultivating human replacement organs using a washing machine. Also like using, that like nail to cause mutations in corn seeds, to cultivate mutated corn, and so on. Yeah. I experiment a lot with the environment. So here you can see the volcano from Bacteria event in 2014 that both Robertina and I attended. This was actually the first time we had time to make a dialogue. It was like really cool events such as MTF, where the whole global scene connected in Indonesia. We collaborated with locals, trying to solve local ecological problems with the use of science and art. Yeah, this is like some of the other examples. For example, I did workshops how to do it yourself organic solar cells from a toothpaste, cabbage juice, and all window glass. That was then used as a material to make large installation, solar tree, to boost awareness about how we should use renewable energy sources more. Like on the bottom, you can see maybe the project I'm most delicate to make with a group of high school kids. I designed and developed a do-it-yourself probe for astrobiological research. So we made a small probe with lots of sensors inside to monitor physical parameters of the environment, temperature, humidity, altitude, and so pressure, and so on. And we sent that to a competition for high school kids to be sent with a meteorological balloon to the edge of the stratosphere to see how it behaves in this like extreme environment. But we wanted to make it biological, so we sent the samples of cyanobacteria, which are supposedly the first microorganisms on Earth, which actually produced environment by eating inorganic soil. And they went up and went down, and they survived, which was amazing. So we proved the theory that they can survive in these harsh environments, and we won like third place in this competition, and actually like got acknowledgements from Roscosmos Space Agency, which was like really cool, especially for the kids to get encouragement to continue experimenting in this way. My favorite playground is bioelectronics, biorobotics, mixing biological systems and electronic systems. So here you can see, like in Ur Institute, which I founded, we have like section for robotics, biorobotics, called Eurobotics. Experimented a lot with the environment, making do-it-yourself monitoring station to monitor various like ecological parameters. And it was cool because this was not developed through a scientific project, but through an art project. Through a festival, Touch Me in Zagreb, I made an art installation where I wanted to explore the topic of forensics and electronics. So this was actually used as a probe to monitor all the data coming from a death simulation decomposing pig corpse. So all of the data were digitalized, then streamed to the gallery to one of the big modules I made, where audience could go in, locks themselves up for 5 minutes, and experience all of these physical parameters physically. So like audio, video, sound, smell, humidity, temperature, everything was like you were lying there. So yeah, the idea was to confront people with the experience we are trying to avoid, using all the senses to see how people would react and what kind of thinking would come up from that. I played with audio. Audio was actually like one of my first experimental playgrounds, but I'm mostly like into different medias now. So back in the beginnings, I used to make like do-it-yourself instruments such as this bio-optical theremin, and I was part of the Messy Oscillators band for experimental electronics, where I played this like biotheremin, which actually used different test tubes filled with biomaterial, some of it, and it served as a filter. Some of them were dynamic filters, some of them were like static filters, so it was actually like me playing with filters for experimental sound. I went more into bioelectronics, experimented with using bacteria to produce biomaterial for robotic skin, like Terminators. And maybe interesting for this kind of event, used the same material to develop an innovation. I cultivated organic membranes for microphones, speakers, and drums. Because this bacterial material is like really, it has amazing properties, and when you play with it chemically, you can do even more. So what I did was to produce material which served as like really great membrane in microphones and speakers. So yeah, I'm into cultivating electronics. I'm experimenting with biorobotics these days. I'm gonna mention that at the end. Yeah, one of the interesting projects which was just shown on a Maker Faire last weekend is also this device, which is actually nothing more than audio amplifier, old analog audio amplifier, but used for a non-audio thingy to actually amplify electrical signals coming out from cultivated neural cells. Yeah, that like I adore this biocomputing field, and I believe the future lies there, like quantum computing and biocomputing, because in biocomputing, cells can learn to do anything by themselves. You don't need to program them, so they would be amazing for self-learning and conscious systems. As mentioned, I'm running Universal Research Institute with spaces both in Dubrovnik and Zagreb, where we have labs. This institution has like open door policy. It's for citizens, run by citizens, made for scientists, artists, innovators. Whoever wants to come and explore the world around them is welcome to do so. We provide facilities and mentoring. And lots of educational programs, especially for youth, trying to share the knowledge. One of the biggest programs is maybe International School of Science and Art. We started to do the first one in 2015. And soon, in February 2022, we are also doing first online edition. So whoever wants to learn more about this kind of stuff is welcome to join us. My favorite educational program is Bioelectronic Academy, where I teach, this is like for high school kids and students. I teach them like from analog electronics, digital electronics, all the way to genetic engineering and bioelectronics. And yeah, when I started to do this like workshops, participants who came to the workshops wanted to stay non-stop there. So it was like, workshops are not enough, could you please mentor us to do some like long-term projects and so on. So on their initiative, we founded Youth Science Club, which is a mentoring program for youth. So once per week, the kids in Dubrovnik drop by to our labs to work on their own projects and collaborative projects. We mentor them, and then we take them to Maker Fairs to show what they did and share with the rest of the world. I also produce festivals such as Black Clinic Festival and Incubator of Biological Art and Biotechnology. Black Clinic, the name is actually like from cyberpunk and biopunk, like Neuromancer, the book which opened the doors. It's always something that all of these like futurology hackers dream worlds share. It's like semi-illegal clinic where you can go to get your body augmented. So that was the philosophy behind festival. It was done in the abandoned hospital in Zagreb, and it was really cool. Yeah, like some of the other projects I produced and did was this like using the bacteria to grow scaffolds for growing human replacement organs. That was done in my kitchen, and it was like, yeah, on the beginnings. I mentioned Bacteria Lab, like how important it is to connect globally, because only through knowledge sharing and multidisciplinary approach you can develop innovations. Yeah, this was the project with connecting pig online, and the black box was the monolith where you could enter and be exposed to the experience. I continued on experimenting a lot with ecology. Recently, microplastic project Sushi Roulette, together with a colleague Kat Austen from UK, I developed do-it-yourself methodology how to analyze fish, algae at home for the presence of microplastic to see if you are actually eating plastics. which is really cool to boost awareness about plastic pollution in general, not just microplastic, because unfortunately people don't care enough about island in the Pacific made of plastic that we all made together. But like if they are eating plastic, that makes them thinking. I experimented a lot with biotechnology as my primary field, so collaborated with another Slovenian artist, Maja Smrekar, on her project Canine Topology Artemis, where we did hybrid stem cell, mixing my own cell with cell of her dog to come up with an artifact to tell the story of this conceptual being which would live as one with the nature. The project has like really amazing philosophy behind that, and this was just like an artifact as a proof of concept. And actually, it made me thinking, and what I like the most about it, because yeah, Maya proposed this idea because she saw a wolf as a free animal living in nature, and then humans took the wolf and made it in Chihuahua, the dog. So we took a free living animal from the nature, which coexisted with it perfectly, and made something that can't survive even being at home, in human homes. So through this project, she wanted to return this ability that we took from the wolf back to the dog to produce something mythological. And this is actually what I like about the project, and it's the philosophy called pantropy, which actually say that we humans shouldn't make the environment to suit us, but we should change to suit the environment. This was like from sci-fi book on space colonization, how we should actually modify our bodies to be able to survive in extreme environments. And this is like what I like the most about that. So yeah, I continue on developing some related stuff. Robertina mentioned aquaforensic project, where we explore together how these residual pharmaceuticals that we consume affect microorganisms. And it was cool because it boosts empathy toward microorganisms that we don't think enough of, and they are actually the basis of the whole ecosystem. We got Starts Award nomination for that, which is like really cool because it gets you motivated and acknowledged that it is good. Recently, I also served as a consultant on the project Wombs made by Italian artist Margarita Pevere, where she explored chemical hormonal communication between slug and human, which don't have the same hormones, but our hormones, which are xeno to other bodies, can act on each other. So yeah, she explored this interaction on a cellular level. We cultivated and developed protocols how to cultivate cell culture of slugs, and then to exist in coexistence with human cells and to communicate hormonally. Yeah, like last weekend, I did a related workshop actually with Maja Smrekar. We continued on experimenting on do-it-yourself hormones, because we both had like some body changes due to the hormones, due to different but also how our behavior can dictate hormones. I'm more into pushing mind over body theory, so like modifying body with hormones is something which was cool for me. So we did a research project. In the research project, actually, we took period blood from Maya and used hormones extracted from menopausal urine to change these uterus cells into something like an egg cell. And that opens door to future of reproduction. And the workshop we did as an output of the project actually did that, do-it-yourself biochemistry, where we taught people how to extract hormones from their own urine, especially gonadotropin, which actually boosts fertility. So it was made into this like biopunk, cyberpunk dermal patch that you can apply to your body. Recently, I did Ars Electronica Garden, an exhibition by European Media Art Network, EMAP, with a nice selection of works, and it was streamed and shared with the world online. It was based around aquaforensic project as a starting point. Robertina collaborated with me on that one. We tried to connect like different cities around the Adriatic in this shared narrative. Okay, yeah, like next to the education, I really like investing in youth. So we also provide opportunities for youth to do internships at your institute, no matter if they are like high school or students. And it was really cool because recently I got contacted by Oxford University that their students want to do internship there. And I was like, why do the students from Oxford want to go to some like small NGO in Dubrovnik? And when they came, they actually told me that even at Oxford, they are lacking this hands-on experimental practice that they could get in our institute in Dubrovnik. I'm also trying to push policies, especially policies for youth and new media art, into different platforms and policies of the city of Dubrovnik and city of Zagreb. And yeah, that is like what I do, what I did. Just like to mention 4 projects I'm working on at this moment to get some idea. Personally, I'm working on a biorobotic platform at the moment and developing a different narrative and approach to artificial consciousness beyond mathematics and beyond computation, beyond numerals, through this like organic design approach. So inspiration, like art-wise, is Hans-Rudi Giger, who designed the alien, being this interaction of organic and inorganic electronics and organics, where you can't see the difference, everything is merged perfectly. Also, like Industrial Revolution, like design in IBM, when they seek like giving organic approach to machine design to make it more like human-friendly. From the book on von Neumann, the last one he wrote before he died, Computers and the Brain, where he states that artificial consciousness can be created in future, but probably not using mathematics as a language because it is not natural to living beings. They use different kind of logic and information processing, and it is what I'm actually exploring in the Protagonos project I'm developing these days. So that's like my art and science. And production-wise, I'm happy to mention that I'm producing like 3 EU projects at the moment. One would be Do STEM. It's like STEM education, like lots of workshops, educational programs, and so on. This like Summer School of Science and Art is going to be one of them, part of the program. So if you are interested, just like check us out on Facebook. The other one is in the new space in Dubrovnik Youth Center. I set up a gallery space. So we started now with an exhibition program of new media art, which is hybrid in form. So all of the exhibitions are shown physically, but also are currently being digitalized and to be shown in virtual gallery space as actually answer to COVID crisis. So we can actually continue on exhibiting installations in a way that, yeah, because that was a problem. All of the artists who are doing installations as a primary media expression form have been totally off for the last 2 years because there was no enough opportunity to digitalize installation in a proper format. And this is what we are trying to achieve here. And the last one is Starts for Water project, which is focused on the ecology. It's done under the framework of Science, Technology and Arts network of the EU. A lot of us partners collaborate on art-driven innovations, using art to boost innovations development, specifically to try to solve some of the UN Sustainable Development Goals related to water problems with the use of art and contemporary emerging digital technologies. We are now hosting a residency, but also there would be lots of workshops and exhibition at the end, hopefully. So if you are interested, check us out on Instagram, Facebook, just check out our institute. So yeah, these are my contacts. If you want to collaborate, learn more, don't hesitate to contact. I'm at your disposal. Thank you so much for listening for this maybe too long, too long of a talk from me, and I hope it wasn't boring. Thank you.
He's just a lovely, lovely guy. It's absolutely true. I've got one of those. It's this functional microphone.
Oh, the microphone functions perfectly. It's a stand.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say I'm dysfunctional. So, actually, we have coffee and probably some really gooey, sugary snacks, which is what always is a must in Portugal. They love egg and sugar. So there's probably loads of egg and sugar downstairs and coffee waiting for you. So to give you kind of another boost of energy. So let's not miss that because we've ran late. So have a nice coffee break. Maybe we don't have a whole hour. Maybe we can come back, what do we think, Monica, at 5:30? Like 5:30, so that we don't stay for too long. And then we can continue with some really inspiring people. Does that bring me to say?
Yes, please, if I can. Can I ask everybody a favour before we go to do the coffee? And it's that I'm being very annoying because I have to go back and forth all the time, and I'm going in front of people. And we've got all the space at the front that nobody's currently using. So I figured if everybody picked up their table and chair and just moved it about a metre forwards, then I could be less annoying, at least in my travels back and forth, behind everybody.
The only issue is going to be, the radius mathematically doesn't work like that.
No, I understand.
So you'd have to have fewer tables in the front.
No. I honestly think that if we can do a metre just parallel to the walls, the side walls, I don't think you have to worry about the... No, parallel. So who's after Francisca? A name? Refresh the program and You're just going to print things out. Yeah, we're going to have to power through them, I think. But, yep. Sure. Jake, are you able to put the Mevo stream onto the... Ooh. But I'm already streaming. How can we stream? You solved it. I don't know what you were so stressed about. No noise whatsoever. I didn't want you to be upset, so I prioritized technical problems. Okay, this is me talking into a microphone, and there's no horrible background noise, apparently. We are not only... Okay, this is interesting. We're actually double streaming this right now. So both of them are working. So don't cross the streams. That's most important. No audio, just images. Okay, Francisca, would you like to come to the stage and don't touch anything? Just the space bar. Bruno, may I ask a question about the lights? A question about the lights. Is the lighting guy going to come and do spots and stuff?
For this to work, we need to send someone to set it all up.
Yeah, and are they coming?
I
would love to, because we're going to be doing presentations all night, every night, all week. So if we can have it set up, then we'll be able to use it. That would be fantastic. Thank you. But thank you for solving this problem. And now on to the next one. So I'm going to turn this off.
Can I touch this because I'm a small person?
Yes, I'm going to touch it for you even.
Yeah, can you touch it for me?
Yes, I can.
Oh la la. Thank
you go. And please talk into it.
Talk into it.
Yes.